So I got out of a screening of Evil Dead Burn, and I was not ready at all for the amount of gore and the family drama and just like the toxicity of everything. It is a solid, to me, 9 out of 10. This should give you a pretty good idea of what kind of film this is. Welcome to Pass the Popcorn. Let's talk about it. Evil Dead Burn follows the story of a fractured family brought together by tragedy, only to find themselves at the center of another Deadite nightmare. As old wounds resurface and long-buried secrets begin to unravel, the film blends brutal horror with dark comedy, while exploring how trauma and abuse can echo through the generations. That's all you really need to know going in. The less you know about everything, the better. Trust me. For me, Evil Dead Burn sits right next to Evil Dead Rise. I still prefer Rise for its relentless pacing, but Burn brings back something that I've really missed in these series. The playful, unhinged personalities of the Deadites. They're not just scary, they're entertaining. It reminded me more of like the classic Evil Dead films where horror and comedy just constantly feeds into each other. Like there are moments of pure tension and then it just quickly cuts to something funny. Whether it's a Deadite or my favorite, the grandma. She really stole the show for me. The opening scene is fantastic. It immediately hooks you in with some creative camera work, a real sense of tension and dread. There's a brief slowdown once the story shifts to its main cast, but it doesn't take that long for the film to find its rhythm again. It's tense and jarring, snaps you out of it, but brings you right back in. One of the biggest standouts for me was the editing. It has excellent comedic timing, knowing exactly when to crank up that tension and then let the audience breathe with a laugh. My screening was packed, and hearing an entire cinema switch from screaming to laughing within seconds was one of the highlights. The cinematography deserves just as much praise. There's some beautifully composed shots, inventive camera movements, and one extended sequence that's incredibly easy to follow, despite the chaos unfolding on the scene. It never feels messy or confusing. Now, let's talk about the gore. This is exactly what you'd want from an Evil Dead film. It's brutal, inventive, and unapologetically over the top. Every major set piece feels distinct, constantly finding new ways to make you squirm in your seat. It feels like the director, Sebastian Vanacek, kept asking, how do we crank this up even further? And then did exactly that. Every time you think the film has reached its limit, it somehow finds another way to top itself. And some of those moments will genuinely leave you breathless. I also heard through the grapevine that one sequence had to be trimmed to avoid the NC-17 rating. And honestly, after watching the finished film, I can believe it. Though I'm dying to know what the scene was. I also appreciate that the film doesn't feel like the franchise is repeating itself. Evil Dead 2013 reinvented the series in a much darker tone. Rise changed the setting, and Burn builds on what came before it, while leaning back into the franchise's wicked sense of humor and continuing to expand on the mythology in interesting ways. My only real criticism is the rules surrounding the possession occasionally feels inconsistent. It wasn't enough to take me out of the film, but it was one of the few things that made me stop and question what I was seeing. Overall, I had a fantastic time seeing Evil Dead Burn, and if you're a big Evil Dead fan, there's lots to enjoy here, trust me. Especially if you've been missing the franchise's real twisted sense of humor. If you want more Evil Dead, I also made a video exploring how the series has managed to avoid the franchise curse, and why every entry has been consistently a strong watch. I'll leave that linked for you. And if you want a spoiler video, let me know. I'd love to dive into the characters and the family dynamic, and everything the film is saying once more people have had a chance to see it. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you have a favorite Deadite? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and as always, pass the popcorn.